Okay, we're about to dive into a really fascinating social puzzle. And it all starts with something you see every single day. Eyelashes. Yep, eyelashes. What seems like just a simple beauty feature, well, it tells a much, much bigger story about how our world is designed.
So let's just kick things off with a quick question. Based on, everything you see in magazines, on TV, and ads, who do you think has naturally longer eyelashes, men or women? Just take a guess.
You might be surprised by the answer. Biologically speaking, on average, it's actually men who have longer, thicker eyelashes than women. And this isn't some kind of opinion. It's just a physiological fact tied to hormones that affect all the hair on our bodies.
So if our beauty standards were just a simple reflection of biology, you would totally expect long, lush eyelashes to be seen as a distinctly masculine feature, wouldn't you?
And yet, our culture does the complete opposite. Long eyelashes are overwhelmingly pushed as a feminine ideal. A man's naturally longer lashes are totally ignored, while women are encouraged to lengthen, curl, and thicken theirs at every turn. So, what is going on here?
This right here gets to the absolute core of the idea. Beauty standards aren't really about describing what a body is, they're about assigning that body a role. They're like a set of instructions for how you're supposed to perform.
So how does this actually happen? I mean, how is a neutral, or in this case, a male-leaning trait chosen and then so completely feminized? Well, it turns out there's kind of a checklist for this.
A trait is way more likely to be labeled feminine if it meets these three criteria. Long lashes make eyes look bigger, which can signal youth, and honestly, beyond their basic job of keeping dust out of your eyes, they don't really have a big functional purpose. That makes them highly decorative and a perfect candidate for getting assigned a new social meaning.
And this whole process actually has a name. It's called social encoding. It's how we as a society take a simple part of the body and just load it up with meaning, turning it into a powerful symbol of femininity or masculinity.
But this brings up a really crucial question. If the goal is to create a feminine ideal, why on earth would you choose a trait where women are, on average, at a biological disadvantage?
Well, just look at what happens. When the ideal is something you don't naturally have, you have to constantly check your appearance. It demands daily work, mascara, curlers, extensions, and all of that creates this long-term drain on your time, your money, and your focus. And here's the thing. This isn't a bug in the system. It's the whole point. The disadvantage is the feature. That constant effort is exactly what the standard is designed to create. Okay, so let's zoom out for a minute. Because as interesting as eyelashes are, this isn't an isolated case. They're actually a perfect little model for a much larger, much more consistent pattern in social design. This pattern of reversal, it shows up again and again. Men have longer lashes, but the ideal is for women. Women are biologically designed to store more fat, but the ideal is to be thin. High heels, they were invented for male horsemen as a functional tool for riding, but then they were feminized and lost all that function. In every case, you see this complete flip. The common thread connecting all of these examples is pretty clear, right? It's assigning women traits that demand constant extra effort to achieve, and often they actively limit what a person can physically do. So if these standards take so much work, what is all that daily effort actually training people to do? What's the hidden lesson plan in the daily beauty routine? I mean, think about it. The simple act of putting on mascara day after day, week after week, it trains you to be hyper-aware of your own appearance. It reinforces this feeling of being constantly ready to be looked at, to be judged. And, maybe most importantly, it can instill this deep-seated distrust of your own natural body. So let's be really clear. When a woman tries to get longer lashes, the goal isn't to look like a man. The goal is to perform the role of a qualified woman by showing she's willing to put in the work to modify her natural self to fit the social ideal.
And this whole logic of modification, it reveals a really stark, really powerful rule that's operating just beneath the surface of our culture.
Just consider things like high heels, which make it hard to run, or tight skirts that shorten your stride, or super long fingernails that limit what you can do with your hands. Restrictive undergarments, like corsets. All of these things, at one time or another, have been called the height of feminine beauty.
And this shows a very clear trade-off. What you gain is a social ideal, something like beauty or elegance. But what you lose is tangible and practical, mobility, speed, and sometimes even physical safety and security. Which leaves us with this final, really powerful thought to chew on.
Any design that makes the body harder to move, harder to escape, or harder to stand in for long will eventually be assigned to women and called beauty. It's a provocative idea for sure, and it all starts with something as simple as an eyelash.